And in the studio, and very pleased to have him in as a guest, Jordie Lane. How you going, Jordie?
I'm great, Denise.
Do you know
Really
where you
good.
are? You're in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
You've been travelling the world.
I have. I this time just took me to America, but have been there for quite a longer time than I've ever been away anywhere else. So it kind of does feel weird coming back home.
So you went to America, you came back, and then you went back again, didn't you?
Yeah.
In a very short amount of time, like
Yeah,
you
as
came
soon as
back
I could.
briefly.
Yes. I just, visa restrictions or whatever, I had to come back. But as soon as I could go back there, I did, because I just, I guess the only way I can describe it is first time, my mum got a bit of a shock when I said it. I said, it's the first time I've fallen in love with something else, and it's not a girl. She go, oh my God, Jordie, you got something to tell me?
And
it's a.
what was she thinking?
It's a piece of land. I just really, and strangely enough, it was California and LA, and then out there in the desert, Joshua Tree. So right now, I feel a bit heartbroken, I guess.
It will always be there, and you can always go back.
That's right.
Can't you?
That is right. Although they're doing bad stuff, they're trying to put different mines and things like that, cut into the national park there and stuff.
It's a national park.
I know.
That's why it's a national park.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. But yeah,
I've never been to Joshua Tree.
It's an amazing place.
Can you describe it, seeing that you've fallen in love with it? How would you describe it?
Well,
I mean, I've seen pictures, but I've not been there.
So it's like 3 hours east of LA. Most of the time it's just these disgusting, ugly highways with huge, big billboards for people playing in Vegas and stuff. Because it's
Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. You got your food things and your religious things, and then your weight loss, lap band ads and stuff like that. They have some pretty crazy advertisements in America, but anyway, that's got nothing to do with the desert. You cross these hills, and there's all these those wind farms with the wind turbines, and it sort of starts to turn into this weird sort of like you're on Mars or something. It's all this broken grey orange sort of rocks and big hills, and there's quite a few quite large mountains, snow capped, almost even till summer. And then these little trees start to pop out of nowhere all over the place, and that's what they call the Joshua trees or yucca trees.
Yeah,
and
they're quite beautiful, aren't they?
They are. They're kind of like, they seem like they're alive, like little beings from like the Never-Ending Story or something. And they're kind of like cross between they look a bit like a cactus, but a bit like related to a palm tree or something, but in that shape of a cactus anyway. And it's just a really eerie but like full of this strange kind of energy place. And
is there a town there?
There's I guess there's a town called Joshua Tree, and it's pretty much based along the highway. So you've just got some restaurants, some little op shops, and motels. And then people have these like little tiny fibro shacks like up in the mountains and stuff that.
Wow.
It looks like a really tough way to live, but they love it. And so you get all different walks of life there. You got your hippie mums with their long-haired kids, then you got your UFO enthusiasts, and you've got like hardcore sort of religious people, and then you got this kind of musical community there too. I mean, it's pretty small. It's not that many people, but.
And what took you to Joshua Tree?
Well, I guess it was, getting into Graham Parsons and watching a lot of those documentaries, and then finding out that you can in fact go and stay in that room still, the room that he died in, room 8 at the Joshua Tree Inn. And so I really wanted something to do this time going to America, and at first I didn't know what I was going to do, and had a bad time in Europe because of that uncertainty. So I booked my night in, a month before I left Australia, and that's what I was doing to go to America. it wasn't touring or whatever. It was just going to stay in the room.
Going to have an experience.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to expect, and I felt a bit weird about it. You know, why was I going to stay in this? You know, it's a bit cathartic, a bit strange. But when I got there, none of it felt strange. It just felt like, yes, this is like bloody awesome.
And what's the room like?
Okay, it's
like,
just,
you know,
it's
is there
just
something dedicated to?
Well, yeah, they
Parsons?
try and keep it similar to how it was. Like, you know, it's got really cheesy kind of late 60s sort of furniture and stuff. It's got a little desk there.
It's probably worth
next
a
to the
fortune
bed.
now. That stuff.
Yeah, but they don't, you know, sort of glorify it into some big tourist attraction or anything.
Right.
It's just like, oh, it's great that you like Graham Parsons. Thank you for staying. Here's a cup of chai tea, and that's it. But you know, there is these tribute books there that people have been writing messages to Graham in since he died.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they obviously have been replacing the books as they fill up, because I think the one that I was in was only from the start of 2009 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
But
don't they have them stashed away somewhere?
They must. And then, you know, there's other little things like posters of Rolling Stones concerts and Fleetwood Mac, you know, stuff that Flying Burrito Brothers played on.
Yeah, right.
And there's a few frame pictures of him on the walls, and then just a really bad bathroom with everything leaking, and it's very
it's probably the most popular room. Do you think that they could maintain it just a little?
Yeah. No, I think it adds to the charm, that scary little drip in the middle of the night. So I actually started to record stuff like that onto the record too, so getting sounds of the room. So
it was there that songs were coming to you, or?
Well, it was, so we got there the first day, and all I knew was going to stay in the room to sort of pay my respects, and as a tribute to Graham, we bought a guitar in LA for like, well, it still cost $100, but with the intention to take it straight out to the desert, and in the middle of the night we were going to set it on fire and burn it.
Yeah.
And so that is what we did. But I kept the guitar for an extra day, because as soon as I got in the room, I just started feeling really comfortable to play some songs. And yeah, I wrote the first track on this new album, Diamond Ring, in that room on the first day. And I just felt really excited about music again, and I don't know, as soon as I kind of touched down in America, it just, something clicked.
Something was right.
Something felt good. Something felt like, almost like going, it sounds shockingly terrible, cheesy.
No, come
on. It just felt like going home.
Yeah,
in some
right.
way, you know, like, because I guess so much of the music that I loved and was influenced and inspired by all comes from America.
Yeah.
And so to be amongst that history and feel like you're kind of part of it in some way, like maybe in a different era, but really like gets you really excited. So, and plus the cheap food and beer.
Look,
That's good.
Look, I love America. I just love it, and I love that there's just this little daggy kind of tacky side to it, which you just really get into when you're there.
Yeah, they hold on to. I mean, obviously, a lot of it's economy-based stuff where heaps of motels and even McDonald's signs have not been renovated for years, you know, and so it's like this time warp as well, and like, you know, it's just weird. You've watched all these things on movies, like what a school bus looks like and going to a diner and all that stuff, and it's exactly the same. And you freak out. You go, I thought Hollywood was just the movies, and then you kind of get freaked out that you're kind of in that.
When I first went to America, I was surprised by how run down a lot of it was, and it was like things were broken, but no one ever fixed them. And all we ever see, well, predominantly, is the nice side of America. But most of it, it's like pretty run down.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of poverty there, and it's pretty shocking to see a lot of what's going on there, and you feel that, you know, the musos that you hang out with and stuff, one great thing is they're all so generous and stuff with their time and not, there's never a talk of money and stuff. It's like, okay, no one's got any money, so let's not worry about that. Let's just have a good time. So
how did you come across Tom Biller?
Tom Biller, well, I'd been given his email by a friend and I had contacted him.
Who produced the album, I should mention.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's an engineer and producer in America, and actually like a really kind of renowned one in his own right. But I didn't really know all of that at the time. I'd heard that he'd worked with a guy called John Bryan, who did the sound scores to like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Magnolia and Punch Drunk Love, and so I was a big fan of his, and heard that Tom had engineered that stuff. And we just had a beer one night after his gig, and then I said, look, I've been travelling around America and I went to this place called Joshua Tree and I want to go back there and record some songs. You don't know anyone who's got like a 4-track or just something really basic to get these songs down on? And he's like, oh yeah, I got a 4-track, you know, it's at my other singer's house way down south. You know, you're going to have to go down there. You're going to have to be careful because her mom has a shotgun, doesn't like strangers, so you'll have to wait up the street and time it right when she's out shopping.
Oh my God.
And so that's what I did. And but then the next thing was I couldn't get cassette tapes anywhere in California, and so I got a tip off that this place right down towards Mexico had a bunch of tapes.
Down in Mexico, they'll have cassettes. Yes.
So I drove. I didn't have to pass the border or anything, but I got there and no, we don't have tapes. And I'm like, bloody hell, because the sun was starting to go down and I was due to be back out at the Joshua Tree, booked in there for like 5 nights, and I really wanted to get there, but if I didn't have cassette tapes, I didn't have any way to record anything. And but while I was there, I heard this money back guarantee thing, and so I saw a banjo on the wall and I just put the banjo on the thing and said, yeah, I'll have that. And then it was great. At the end of the month when I flew back to Australia the first time, I took the banjo back. You can go to any of their stores in the country, hand it over and say, I want my money back.
Oh, hello.
Got my money back and got on the plane and, yeah.
Came back.
I wish I had kept that banjo because it actually sounded good.
So did you get the cassettes?
I got the cassettes. Sorry. I drove back to Hollywood in the end where they first said they didn't have them, and they literally pulled them out of a storeroom and had to wipe the dust off them.
Fantastic. Did you take the whole box?
Yeah, I think there was something like 18 tapes they had, 18 one-hour tapes, and I got through them pretty quickly actually, and went straight back out to that room and just started mucking around on the banjo and guitar, and then this wacky keyboard, this harmonium keyboard I found one day when I was having lunch on the highway, a little thrift store in the tool section. Amongst some power drills was this little keyboard sitting there, $10 price tag, and I'm like, does this work? And he's like, oh, well, plug it in, see what happens. And it was sounded all rickety and very noisy with the fan, but there was about 5 notes that worked. And so a lot of the songwriting all was based around those notes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so I was like singing in those keys so that it would fit around these notes. And that's why it was really fun, because the whole time I never thought I was making a record.
You were just playing.
And drinking a lot of beer and eating tacos. They got late night drive-through taco places.
Oh, you got to love a taco.
Yeah.
Would you like to do a song for us, Jordie Lane?
Yeah, I shall attempt.
Jordie Lane is my special guest today, having a chat about those adventures. Oh, my God.
So this is a song I wrote after driving down from Yosemite National Park in California down to Las Vegas, and we had to fend off police, donkeys, and then splitting headache once we got to the Cirque du Soleil show in Vegas. But this is called Thin My Blood. This is kind of as close as I got to doing a title track.
Jordie Lane live in the studio here on Triple R on Twang.
Thanks.
Your voice is sounding fantastic, Jordie. It's just, I don't know, growing or something. There's something extra about it.
It would sound repetitive if people have heard me on this show before, but it's called lack of sleep, too much time on the internet, and, no breakfast.
Oh, you got to have your breakfast.
I know.
Don't they always say that?
I know. I can't wait to get out of here and have it.
Oh, right. Now he wants to leave. Excellent. No, we haven't finished talking yet, mate. Sorry.
That's fine.
So the album is being recorded on cassette.
On cassette tape. Your good old little audio
Plastic
cassette
case.
tape. That's it.
Cassette tape.
Yes. I was so excited to do that. I mean, I'm still young, I guess, but the first record I got was on cassette tape. So it was like a 100% hits volume 11 or something. There was like, what's her name? Cornflake Girl. What's that girl's name?
Jeez, Cornflake Girl.
Michelle Cornflake Girl.
Oh, see, I must have missed that era.
Oh my God! Sorry, this is just ridiculous. I can't remember that, but
There's
anyway.
people out there going, yeah, I know. Who
And that guy who sung that song, Asshole, Dennis Leary.
Oh, yeah, Dennis Leary. Oh, you're right. That time, yeah.
Yep. So the next song I'm going to play for you, no.
So you've gone to America. You didn't just go to Joshua Tree.
No.
Where did you go?
Well, before I started recording the album, I did my whole, little journey around places I wanted to see, like Yosemite National Park in Northern California. I was really into a photographer, Ansel Adams, he sort of pioneered photography in America. And so I went to those same places to take photos, and then I went down to Vegas, had a few crazy days, and then we went over to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing. Really, really heavy kind of energy there. That's
intense. Definitely.
It's
lots of music.
Yeah. Just like all on the streets, like a brass band will just appear out of thin air. Literally, it'll be one guy playing a trombone, and then someone else walking home from the gig will pull out their tuba, and and then there's a big sousaphone there, and then a huge street party, and like cops on horses making sure that cars don't run us over.
Great.
And you can go from one bar to the next with your drink if you don't finish it, which is great because I've always been known for drinking slowly, and people have to wait for me to finish my drink. And so this was like, you could just wander around. It's just like one big party.
It's party town.
I mean, obviously there's a whole other side of it there.
Of course.
But I also went to Nashville and to Memphis.
Yeah, did you like those places?
I loved them. Got to be honest, didn't see as many things as I wanted to because we had a few friends and we just did a fair bit of partying during the darkness hours. But we went to Sun Records and Stax and did all those things. And then New York, went up to Woodstock, stayed in a little cottage there, and now that's a great place. You can buy a house there for like $20,000.
Okay, let's go. Woodstock, great.
So I've since when I came back, I travelled again to New Orleans and did all like swamp tours down there, and
cool.
Caught an alligator with my bare hands. Even.
What? Are you insane?
Well, there's this guy down there.
It was just a little one, right?
About a 4 or 5 footer.
Yeah, it's big enough.
And, I felt kind of bad handling this alligator and getting it in the boat just to pat it for a bit and then...
letting it go.
Well, they all come in for marshmallows. That's so they're kind of... they all hang around, and it's a strange, weird thing
They're
going on.
They're going to have alligators losing their teeth.
But there's these kids who've been working in the swamps, since they were born, and that's their life, I guess. So,
So all these other places that you went to, you didn't find the inspiration as strongly as you did?
I mean, I guess I just didn't find the stillness and isolation that I could in that room 8, where I could just be totally on my own and then use what I'd soaked in around the rest of the country. Obviously, like yeah, there's quite a few songs I wrote in New York.
Yeah.
There was one where I put a thing where it's not really like me to put this kind of heavy industrial drum beat on it, a song called Feet Fall. And that was all based around trying to get a sound of those trains that were just always, everything about New York for me was being in the subway. So
yeah,
it's just like, and New York was a pretty tough place for me. I found it a bit too overwhelming.
Like, yeah, it's pretty overwhelming, isn't
amazingly beautiful and awesome city, but California just had that
chilled out.
Well, that space.
Yeah.
Like LA is massive. There's so many people, but you can still have your own bedroom and a basement or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And you spent some time in a basement, didn't you?
Yeah. Like I couldn't get it all done in the motel room, the recording. And by then I was really starting to write some songs and wanting to keep experimenting. So I found this basement in LA in a place called Echo Park, and these girls rented their basement for $5 a night to me.
Oh, great.
And I had one room in the basement, like with a door and everything, as a bedroom, little mini bar fridge in there for me. And
nice.
Everything, you know, had the bed, everything. Only thing I didn't have was a toilet, so... And it was really hard to get into the house late at night, so I had to improvise. But
we won't go into that.
Other than that, it was really great. And then the third place was Tom Biller's home studio, where just a really basic thing again. And we still kept tracking the whole record to cassette tape. We wanted to stay true to that, and just the whole mantra was like just to improvise with what we had. So I didn't have drumsticks, and I wanted a mallet, and he didn't have one either. So I got upgraded to premium on my flight back to America, and they give you a pair of socks, complimentary socks.
Yes.
So I wrapped them around a stick to make the soft mallet, and use that for some of the drums on the songs. But it was funny because at the end of the recording, Tom was like playing with the drumstick and putting it in his mouth all the time, and I finally said, Tom, just letting you know that isn't a normal drumstick. That mallet bit on the end is a sock that I got given on my plane flight 2 months ago. I wore that for 15 hours and at high altitude, you know, all that nice, sweaty, swollen foot. And that hasn't been washed either. And yeah, he quickly removed it from his mouth.
What was his input to your album? You know, he was the producer, but
he was
he
was like the facilitator. Like he gave me the tools firstly to record, then he gave me the what's the word? Encouragement, because I brought back the tapes to him, and he just literally said he thought that maybe I was going to just run off and sell the thing to buy crack or something.
Oh.
He's like, I didn't know you. I just like, whatever, like, you know, if I lose the 4-track, I lose the 4-track. But I came back a week later with, you know, these 18 tapes full of songs, and he listened through them, and he's like, you know, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to mix it. And so that's what we did. But then we realised it wasn't just a case of doing that. I had to come back and refine the songs and work with him more on the production and arrangements. So when I went back to his place, he'd set me up in there, still basic microphones and the 4-track. I'd wait until the fan went off in the house, in the garage it was pretty much. So I'd have to start recording about after 8 p.m. at night, and then at about 1 a.m. I'd say, yeah, I've done a take, and he would come in and have a listen and say, no, I think maybe you could do better.
Yeah.
Or how about we try this? And then I'd say, I want to get this kind of sound on here. What can we do? And so he started producing the arrangements and stuff with me, and just giving me feedback, and then ultimately just tying the whole record together, and basically just like being there to support you when you're in a foreign country. You know, he would try and wake me up in the morning and give me breakfast. And
yeah, right.
You know, anyone who does that is like, you know,
A good person.
Friends for life. So we
There you
became
go.
really
if you
good
want
friends.
to be Jordie's friend, you know what to do. Wake him up in the morning and give him a breakfast.
It's pretty easy, pretty simple. Isn't that all men? Just a bit of food. And
Bit of food
we're
and
just
see some daylight.
just like dogs.
Would you like to do another song, Jordie Lane?
Yeah, and
Just like dogs, curled up on a cushion in front of the fire. That's what my dog does at this time of the year.
it's beautiful.
She sits so close to it. Jordie Lane, live in the studio here on Twang.
Thanks.
I saw you yesterday at Basement. It was good to hear these songs live. I really enjoyed this album,
Thank you.
Blood Thinner. And
That's
it's the
it.
second album from Jordie.
Yes, the second official solo album, I guess. Yes.
And prior to that was an EP, really, wasn't it? Seven tracks?
yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah, just a little.
How much did that cost you to make, that one?
$130.
Yeah, a slab of beer.
It was slab of beer and a microphone hire. But,
And this one's coming in
I think it was
not too far off the mark.
$64.90. Yeah.
a little and some cassettes here and there. Oh,
That was
cassettes,
that was the
cassettes.
price of the cassettes. Yeah. No, look, I obviously working with multi-Grammy producer. Sorry, I forgot the word. Award winning.
Yeah.
But as I said, like they're all just really generous. Like, well, whatever you got.
I know.
And and then he said, well, let's work with the best mastering engineer. This guy in Hollywood who's
Hey,
done
why
all,
not? Yeah.
all like Alison Krauss, Raising Sand, and
Yeah.
Tom Waits, and Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Johnny Cash.
Did you have to pay him?
Yeah. Well, no. Look, I did pay everyone. Just to make that clear. But look, I'm telling you, like, they really don't cost as much as you'd think. They all just really want to do their job well, and yeah.
And no,
an
it's funny
experience.
because I won't say who it is, but I was looking out on a website for an American singer. And on the website, it has helped me reach my goal to raise $25,000 to record my album. So, like, they just expect fans and stuff to donate money, which people do. But I just don't understand why this person needed $25,000 to record an album.
Yeah, it does add up.
But you can
Yeah, look, I'm
do an album.
okay. I'm backtracking a bit. It doesn't just cost $65 and then just the mastering. There is a bit of a mixing studio and the mixing engineer, and then printing the CDs, and then all the other stuff, publicity and advertising.
But then that's kind of what you get back from. You pay for.
What
the sale of
are we
your
doing
album.
here, Denise? We're having a little accounting discussion. I think this is what we did every time. Like,
No, I don't think I asked you that last time.
I just told you.
You may have.
I spent
the EP.
I spent $50 on the weekend,
No,
and then I made.
I love that though. I love that someone can record an album, and it doesn't have to be in some highfalutin recording studio to come up with the goods.
Well, I think it would be great to do that one day. And the thing with this record for me, it wasn't so much like a choice. I'm going to make a lo-fi record and all this. It was just
just
doing
happened.
stuff. And then when it got to the end, that's when I shit myself and went, all right, I am making a record. So that's when I kind of took it seriously, just in the final month, which was just in May. So it's been good to like just churn it out and make it happen quick, because the first album took a year to come out. So,
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah. So I just...
So here we are in July, and you've just released this excellent album, Blood Thinner.
Yep.
And the tour starts.
Yeah, it starts next week in Ararat.
Ararat.
Yep.
On Thursday night.
Yep.
If you're anywhere near Ararat, get to the Ararat Hotel Red Room.
Yes.
And then on Friday night at Harvester Moon on the Ballerine.
Yeah, that one's like you have to ring them straight. It might already be sold out. It's really small.
The number is 5259320.
You
If
might
want
need to do
inquire
an
about tickets.
You might need to do an 03. I don't know how it works in Ballerine Peninsula.
Yeah, it says 03, but you don't really have to.
Alright.
And then on Saturday night at Baby Black Cafe in Bacchus Marsh.
Yeah, that one's already sold out. But
Sold out.
it's a great little cafe in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like in getting out to the...
You are going everywhere, man. And then Lot 19 in Castlemaine on Sunday.
And can I mention that's with Sweet Jean?
Yeah, Simon Nugent and Alice Keith. Beautiful.
Awesome.
I had them on my grand old Twang a few months back, and they were awesome.
It's really, really beautiful, and they really hit something nice there. So can't wait to do that show. That'll be.
And then you're heading off everywhere, Canberra, Newcastle, Sydney, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then you come back for your big show at the corner on the 12th of August.
Yep. And I don't know if you know, but there's Mike Noga from the Drones who's playing the sport for the whole tour and playing drums with me as well.
Oh, cool.
But Little John has been added to the bill for the corner show, and I don't know if you're a fan of Little John, but...
We are a fan of Little John. Listen to me. I'm speaking for my listeners.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Try and rope him in to do a bit of gospel singing on that last song that I sung.
Excellent.
But so yeah, it should be a big night in Melbourne. I'll try and get as many other special guests up there to help do it as well. But yeah, we'll be going with a full band for this whole tour, so that's really exciting. So
well, it'll be good to hear those songs with the full band too.
Yeah, it'll be weird, but there was 4 tracks, so I need 4 musicians at one time to do it. So
yeah, may as well use them.
Yep.
Do you want to do one more before I boot you out?
I don't know.
He doesn't know. He's tired. He's over. Hey,
would you like to choose?
I'll play one from the album.
Okay. All right.
And then people get to hear it because we've talked so much about it.
This is
What should I play? Because you know what, I had this album for a couple of weeks, and then I had a promo copy, and I didn't have a list of the song titles, so I don't actually know
which one's which. So just give me an idea. You go the one with the nya.
I do like Feet Fall.
Oh yeah, that is the one with the crunchy
let's do the Feet
industrial.
Fall. That sounds good.
Doesn't it sound a bit techno for your audiences?
Well, it's not. It doesn't. It's not going crazy. It's not Ministry, is it? No.
I'll point out it was just a box I was playing for that drum track. There's no electronics involved.
Thanks, Jordie Lane.
Thanks a lot, Denise.
Congratulations. That is a fantastic album.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I'm sure lots of people will be enjoying it, getting along to your gigs and grabbing that where they can.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Get some rest, will you?
I'm going to go watch the footy.
Oh, and watch the footy too. Rest while you're watching the footy. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot, Denise.
Here's Jordie Lane.